In 2012, many of the headings for the Doctrine and Covenants were updated based on research that was done by the Joseph Smith Papers. Section 74 is one of those headings that gets adjusted. The old heading had a date of January of 1832 while Joseph Smith was doing the Joseph Smith translation of the Bible. That has been changed, and the new heading, if you can see here, puts it clear back in 1830. In other words, this revelation came about right after the church itself was restored on April 6th of 1830. John Whitmer puts this revelation being December of 1830. It was misdated in Joseph's history, and thus it got pushed back to 1832 and finds itself as section 74. That's important because it changes the context of the entire section. If you read it as a Joseph Smith translation section in 74, people will read it and they think it's talking about whether you should or shouldn't get married to a non-member. Should Latter-day Saints marry non-Latter-day Saints? That's the question that many people approach with section 74. Or should we all get married in the temple? As this cute, beautiful couple, look at Home Slice here. He's looking so dapper. You're a good-looking hombre. I'm so glad you two beautiful people are getting married in the Holy Temple, but this is not at all what this section is about. This section has to do with this question. Do we baptize children? And should we continue baptizing little children as some of them have been taught? Obviously, the Book of Mormon says no, but this revelation comes about to clarify that for many early new church members in 1830. The revelation is going to make a link to the practice of circumcision in the Old Testament. Many people know that when a child was 8 days old, a male child, as part of the law of Moses and as part of the Abrahamic covenant as well, you can read there in Genesis 17, it was commanded that a male child be circumcised at 8 days old. Well, there arose a controversy in the Apostle Paul's day about whether non-Israelite Christians needed to be circumcised. And the answer inherently was no, that the law of circumcision had been done away with when Christ fulfilled the law of Moses. However, many believing Christians were still circumcising their children, for they felt like it was part of the law of Moses and they needed to be clean. And some Christians who were married to Jewish spouses, their Jewish husbands or their Jewish wives, insisted that their children be circumcised when they're little childs. Well, the problem is, if you circumcise a child here when he's 8 days old and tell him that he's unclean if he's not, according to what law? The law of Moses. And the issue that comes up is when this child grows up, he feels like he's still subject to the law of Moses and the traditions of the fathers continued. This section is all about getting rid of false traditions. False traditions about little children, about the fact that little children need to be cleansed. He likens circumcision here to baptism, infant baptism. And the Lord's answer is clear. You don't need to circumcise a child. It is not necessary for that child, and you don't need to baptize a child because little children are clean. And that's what Joseph's getting at and the Lord's getting at in this revelation of section 74.